Hello, welcome again to Good Ads Matter Roundtable Season 1. Like we promised, we are back, ready for more fun than ever. Good Ads Matter brings to you the first ever roundtable in Indian advertising celebrating good ads as well as the makers behind them. In this episode, we have with us the 8 sharpest pair of eyes in the country and our most cherished photographers. Let's see what esteemed company we are in. Rid Burman. Hi Rid, lovely to have you. Rid Burman is a photographer whose craft is deeply influenced by his rich artistic heritage coming from a family of sculptors and painters. Having honed his skill in the US and worked with photographers like Stephen Klein and Mark Selger, Rid's visually stunning and art-driven work is a testament to the keen eye and deep understanding of the craft. Looking forward to hearing more from you. Would you like to add something more to this?
I mean, it's a huge privilege for me to be here in this incredible company. You know, people I've sort of idealized and learned. And when I started my photography, I would look up to Swapan and, my God, the Tarun and Prasad and these kind of people. And it's just really an honor to be here with all of them at the same table. So very grateful for it.
Thank you, that's great. Arjun, a globally celebrated photographer, Canon EOS ambassador, India since 2020. His photography embodies a sleek, bold and modern style that is unmissable, even by the like of Lerzer's archive, where he has been featured among the top 200 best ad photographers worldwide. He has won many accolades and worked with global giants like Vogue, GQ and Harper's Bazaar. Arjun, you have truly found your mark.
Oh, nice.
Have you?
Gorky is now in action, huh?
You sure that's water?
Thanks so much for having me. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be amongst all of you.
Okay.
I feel like we're all going to say the same thing.
No, you can add something more about yourself.
I'm not that innovative.
Rohan Shrestha's passion for photography transcends genres. Known for capturing global icons, his artistic vision to create work that goes beyond traditional celebrity and fashion photography is commendable. A certified scuba diver, Rohan also explores underwater photography, completely a unique dimension to his craft. Hoping to learn more about you as we chat.
Sweet, me too, because I didn't write that bit.
That's true. And we look, is there anything else that you would like to add?
No, honestly, like Rid also said, there are this side of the panel who's I've grown up idolizing each one of them, and they won't even know it, but like I'm a little bit of a starstruck person right now.
Okay.
So thank you.
Avani Rai. Avani Rai is a photographer and filmmaker known for her impactful photo essays and acclaimed documentaries. With works featured in renowned publications and collaborations with global brands, she combines artistic storytelling and social commentary inspired by legends like her father, Raghu Rai. Welcome, Avani.
Thank you.
Tarun. With over 34 years of experience, Tarun Khiwal is one of India's most renowned fashion photographers, celebrated for his unique style that blends Indian roots and contemporary global language. Being named one of the top 10 fashion photographers by Model Management in 2015, his work has been featured in leading international publications like Vogue, GQ and Harper's Bazaar. And he has photographed prominent figures across industries. Tarun, we have a lot to hear from you.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much. Prashant Godbole. Prashant Godbole is a celebrated Indian photographer and advertising veteran with over 30 years of experience. He has won 250 plus prestigious awards including Cannes Lions, D and AD and Clio, and is the first Indian photographer to win a Cannes Gold. Known for his minimalistic, evocative style, Prashant's photography captures decisive moments with a passion for street and people imagery. Prashant, really happy to have you here.
Where do you keep all these awards? Like, do you have a separate apartment for that?
No.
250
I just
awards?
bought a go down.
Under the table.
Boot of the car. Swapan Parekh is a renowned photographer with over 40 years of experience blending documentary aesthetics with advertising to create emotionally rich and visually innovative narratives following his father's footsteps. Kishore Parekh, a pioneering Indian journalist with a twist of his own. A recipient of prestigious honors including the World Press Photo Award and Advertising Photographer of the Year, his raw and confrontational images showcase meticulous detail and a distinctive interplay of form and emotion. Thank you, Swapan. Huge fan personally. And
so much.
Great to have you here.
Thank you so much. Again, when you said 40 years, I just realized I'm the dinosaur on the table. So sorry about that. But thank you so
I'm the
I was
oldest
just
here.
discussing with
oldest maybe, but the dinosaur. Okay, you're T-Rex 1, T-Rex 2.
Yeah, there you go.
I was just discussing with Prasad. I think there's like 200 years of cumulative experience here on this table.
Yeah. But you know what you shoot in your life at 1/25th of a second, it's like 12, 13 minutes of shooting all your life. So, it's a small part of our
Yeah,
life.
that's
Thank you
true.
so much for your gracious introduction, and it was great
You're
to be with all these luminaries. Thank you so much for having me.
Prasad Naik is a photographer and filmmaker whose journey in photography started early during his college days. And today Prasad has carved a niche for himself in the worlds of fashion, lifestyle and advertising with his minimalistic and detailed-oriented aesthetic. Excited to hear more from you, which I believe is a very tough thing to do.
Yeah, it's very tough. I
Yeah.
think it's very tough to be in front of the camera.
Yeah. No, even otherwise, I have been warned that you are.
He speaks less.
Yes. Okay, great.
Pay me something for this.
Yeah, I'll need your help. Okay, so starting with a real softie of a question. So, as photographers, do you remember any one moment or that one decisive moment, if I may call it, or where you realized that you wanted to be a photographer, or did it just happen naturally to you? Like Rohan, possibly I'm thinking that, coming from
Nepo kid.
True. No, but it's the atmosphere at home, right? And perhaps same with Raid and, perhaps same with Swapan. So was there, Avani, of course. So I just want to know if there still is there one moment where it was a eureka moment and you said that, oh, I've got to be a photographer.
I think I just stumbled into it, honestly.
Stumbled into it.
Yeah, like I was very fearful becoming the same thing as my dad. He was a stalwart, and it's a
Right.
name to live up to. It's a lot of pressure as an 18, 19-year-old. Like I was scared. I didn't want to do it initially. But then eventually, I think the one, if you're asking for a moment that changed it, for me, it was travel. It was, my dad was doing a shoot in a dune, and I was an assistant, of course. And just the ability to shoot in that kind of light, and that, because we were always in a studio before that, because he used to shoot so much in the studio.
Right.
The moment he went into that outdoor space, I was a kid, 18 years old at the time, and just working in that light and that kind of environment, that actually struck me the most in terms
Right.
of why I wanted to do this, to play with light in that different environments.
Okay. I read.
I actually wanted to be a sculptor. I didn't want to be a photographer at all. So,
Really?
Yeah. So I wanted to study fine art. Art history, actually, believe it or not, because both my folks are painters.
Right.
So I thought I wanted to go to Berkeley and do a course on art history and then curation and then get into sculpture. I wanted to do ceramics and cast iron sculptures.
Right.
And I used to shoot a lot. So then I decided to go to some school in India and then come back. And then I decided to go to Brooks after that. And then, photography sort of, I think 16, 17, 18. I tried to do, I was good at sports. I got into a good college with like a maths degree and all that. But
Wow.
yeah, but I tried to do this whole MBA situation, didn't work out very well. And there was photography just sort of, I've been doing it since I used to print for them. So I used to print for Tarun, Prabhudo and all
wow.
that. There's a part of in the dark room and just hang out. So I think he just sort of gradually said, okay, this is it.
So where was this dark room where you used to?
SV in Delhi.
Oh,
Chitrayan Park.
okay.
It was like the capital of, I've seen Tarun coming with negatives, putting in, and then you see Prabhudo coming with negatives and putting it in, and then these guys. Prabhu did the Ladakh book that he was doing, and then In fact, still today, I think one of the best printers I've worked with is Vicky, who's one of the younger brother of the guy who founded the lab.
Right.
And it was just so much. Of course, Swapan and there's a different league of printing, but then that was out of my reach because I was in Delhi. But that's the work that we'd all live up to, right? We look at that work and say, okay, look at the tone, look at the range, look at the grayscale values and all that jazz, right? So photography is always there, and I just sort of, but I think because of, again, I would say that format, I didn't become a sculptor or a painter, but it was always, the arts was primarily a big calling, I think.
Right.
That was what it was, yeah.
I'm responsible for getting him back from US.
Yeah?
Yeah, he was sitting there and, sulking and all that. You remember?
Yeah.
Then I forced him to come back here to India.
Yeah, I would call him and say, Tarun, how do I get money out of clients? What do I do? Because nobody's paying me anymore. He said, write an email like this. Don't write an email saying, I will not work with you.
I gave him formats of like how to bill, how to make contracts. I just gave him everything when he came here. So.
How do you feel about that 20 years later? Him getting you back? Has it worked out fine? Or is there some resentment there?
I mean, for me, it's like Guruji sitting, so it's a different story, but yeah.
Arjun, what about you?
Okay, for me, I think it's an absolute accident. So I've always been an outdoor person, right from college, school, everything. So I always wanted to, kind of own a sport fishing charter or something of that sort, or a outdoor guide or something of that sort, a travel agency. So in college, I was forced to buy a camera. I was the last one to buy a camera because I didn't want to spend money there because I thought it was an absolute waste. And because I'm not even going to do it. And then I ended up buying one because somebody forced me into it. Then I started taking pictures and it never looked back after that.
What were you
Everything was
studying?
forgotten other than this photography.
No, what were you studying?
I was studying visual communication.
Oh, okay.
Even the visual communication, I stumbled into it. It wasn't something that I wanted to do.
Wait, I'll tell you, you were supposed to be an engineer.
No,
No?
I
Okay.
wasn't supposed to be. I don't know. I was supposed to be in the ocean. I was supposed to be in the mountains. Maybe a tour guide or a sport fishing charter service guy.
Wow, okay.
So that was my plan, and then everything changed. And after that, there's no looking back at all
That's fantastic.
from photography.
Avni?
Yeah. I think I saw not the photograph being taken, but the excitement that my father would come back with when he would share work. And because of that, now I experience every place I go to through a photograph. So what happens is I'm a hoarder now. So I can't experience life without taking that picture and taking it home. And that's the thrill. So I think it's just a need to do kind of a thing and not really photography.
So that's amazing actually, because I know some people who know you. I know a set of photographers who always carry a camera with them because they can't seem to experience life in any other form.
Yeah, I don't go into spaces anymore, and my dad also doesn't. But then you can't experience things without the camera.
True.
So, but that's the thrill. It's
Yeah,
not
of course,
photography.
of
Yeah.
course. It's a way of life actually.
Yeah. Today I looked at my camera. I was lying on my bed and I kept staring at it. I'm like, आज क्या खींचूंगी? तो रख देती हूँ, छोड़ देती हूँ.
You should have got it here. That's fantastic. Tarun?
Well, I did engineering. I was working as an engineer design in a company.
Oh, okay.
For almost 8 months.
Yeah.
But much before that, like when I was in class, probably 9th or 10th, my dad gave me a camera. And till that time, I was like very shy. Like I was an introvert. Like I was not very good with talking to people and all that. And then, in one of the birthdays, I carried the camera and I saw like people like behaving in a completely different way, when they saw the camera.
Right.
So I just felt like this is like a passport to enter other people's life without even just having too much chat and all that.
Right.
And that opened me up also. It was a completely new world for me.
Right.
It opened me up. I started talking to people and all that. And also the fun part of like how they were behaving in front of the camera and all that. It was most beautiful thing to see, like grandfathers behaving like kids and kids behaving like adults and all that. It was fantastic.
True, yeah.
So it just excited me a lot. But cut to like, sitting in Lucknow, if you tell your parents that you want to be a photographer, I'm saying like in 1989 and all that, much before that actually. 89 so I left the job. It was not treated as a career.
Right.
There was no such thing as a career in photography at that time, at least in smaller towns. I don't know, maybe in Mumbai and all that it was different. But in smaller town, it was not like that. So, cut to I got into engineering, studied engineering, working as an engineer design. One day my boss called me and he said that, I know your work is good, but if you will carry on like this, the way you're carrying on, you know, with not so much of interest, I'll have to sack you. And then he gave me a book called The Magic of Thinking Big. He said, just read this, probably you'll get some, you know, direction.
Right.
And I read that book in 3 days. I gave him the book and I gave him the resignation. And I said, okay, fine, you know, my time is up. I'm going doing photography. So that's how it started.
Wow. And from there you came to...
I came to Delhi. I was working with Hardev Singh. And then
Right.
I moved to Mumbai. And that is the time when Atul Kasbekar came back from
The US.
US.
Yeah.
And he was looking for assistants. And then I joined him. This is when Atul was not like famous Atul.
Yeah, okay.
And then I moved to back to Delhi and I was working with Prabhu Dasgupta.
Wow.
So I assisted for almost 5-6 years.
And
in
then you
totality.
decided to settle in Delhi.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So what made you choose Delhi as your base rather than possibly, you know, Mumbai?
Well, you know, my mom's from Delhi, so I was familiar with Delhi and all that. Also, slow life,
Okay.
peaceful, slower life. That
No great hurry.
yeah, yeah. And I just love that part even now. You know,
Right.
slow pace of life.
Okay.
Mumbai was just too fast for me.
Okay.
Yeah. No, but I love, I'm always here. Like most of the time, all my work is here. Professionally, it is fantastic. In terms of life, I just feel like, you know,
Right.
it's just too fast for me. I mean, nothing wrong with that. But
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
just
not
too
for
fast
you.
for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Prashant.
Oh, me now. Okay. So I'm a oddball out here because I'm not a professional trained photographer. I stumbled upon it because I used to work with all these greats. I mean, I worked with her father. Swapan was my favorite. Prasad, Tejal. I used to art direct and come up with visuals, and they used to do perfect execution. Once my friend wasn't free, so I had to shoot. So I shot that campaign. I mean, part of it.
Your friend as in Swapan.
As in Swapan.
Thank you, Swapan, for being
Still
busy.
a friend. After this interview, we don't know.
So yeah, and that got some accolades. I mean, people loved it. And after that, I just didn't do anything. So one of these young art director kids said, why don't you post, this is the new thing called Instagram and Facebook. So you keep posting your pictures, you keep shooting this. So I said, okay. So I started posting. And maybe after 2-3 years, I got first assignment that Paddy has given me, and was for Mumbai Mirror, which again won some awards. So then people started taking it seriously, saying, this guy can shoot. And I also started taking myself seriously. So that's how it is. I mean, I still run my agency and I do photography as a hobby or a part-time, whatever you call it.
In the agency, you still art direct and,
Yes,
and
yes.
You also now work as a photographer whenever the chance arises.
Whoever,
yeah?
you know, thinks,
Okay.
you know,
When friends are not free.
There are big budgets for photographer. Whenever there is a big budget for photographer, he takes away the job.
Friends are never free now. They're not available. Not available. Number has been raised.
now, why should I give it to my friend? I can shoot.
Loyalty, see. Oh man. It's been a
Swapan,
journey.
Yeah, no.
what about you?
Me, okay, where do I start? All right, let me just put it this way. I didn't choose photography. Photography chose me. And when I say that, I know the exact date. It was September 13, 1982, when my father passed away untimely death at 51 years of age. And I was just like any kid, you know, college jayenge, grades achhe, will either be whatever, these usual engineers or this or that. Photography was never, at that point, in my realm of, you know, the scheme of things, though Dad was the most prolific photojournalist at that time, of course, with Raghu Uncle. I mean, I'm saying Raghu Uncle because for me, he's seen me grow up like this. And he passed away and he was in the Himalayas doing some assignment. And when you say that we have been in an environment, it was there, but you never know that the legend is someone you're, you know, living in the same house with.
Right.
And I think that was the day I think I went to his cupboard because we had not seen his body yet and just hugged his clothes. And he used to be a prolific smoker, I would say, of Prince Henry tobacco and used to wear tobacco and very stylish man. So I got that whiff from his cupboard with the clothes that were still hanging there. I hugged them and I just said, Dad, I want to be a photographer. I don't know who I was talking to. And I burst out, I was all of 16. And it's been that day, and today it's been like 42 years.
Right.
I don't know how they happened, the 42 years, and the journeys have been multiple, but it's always been a journey which celebrated the photograph. For me, it's always about what's in the frame and not the noise outside, because in this ad world, there could be a lot of noise outside, but ultimately, whether you're shooting an ad or document or news photography, it's always been the image that mattered to me. The rest is, for others to notice. And I guess that's the way I've lived my life. I have never known where my next campaign or assignment would come from. But people like him have been extremely generous, and people like Mohammed Khan in the advertising days who just let people like me do their thing. And I think that's been the journey. So there's no specific path. Yes, the starting point was Dad's death, and then there have been multiple journeys. And I'm very grateful that I'm here, and I still enjoy taking a picture. I'm not a photographer every day, but the days when you feel inspired and you see something, and something so small, and things all filtered down to something very a simplistic way of looking at life. Doesn't have to be a decisive moment anymore.
Right.
It can be a continuous moment.
Absolutely.
So, I'm not living by any rules, and I'm just trying to use photography whenever I feel, especially want to motivate myself. I think photography is the only thing that brings me back. Otherwise, it could be very lonely, and you can have when you've had such a long time shooting, it could be also a burden.
Right.
So you want to free yourself, and so this is nice.
Okay.
Hearing everyone's stories.
Yeah. What about you? Can we get you to speak something about your transition or into photography?
Definitely, luckily for me, I was in art college. Yeah.
Okay.
So the journey started there. So, in art college, you have to tend to do everything like typography, illustration, photography was a part of it. And I think it was a beautiful process of the whole thing. And I met a professor one day, and he told me beautiful thing, no matter what you do, like typography, illustration, photography, just ask one question to yourself. What is your contribution to the field? And, that's so important, I feel, for anyone. And I chose photography because I thought I could express better myself through that medium.
Right.
So that was the reason, you can say. It's just, I feel camera is like a tool. It's like a paintbrush.
Right.
Yeah, you can do anything. You can paint a canvas, or you can take a camera and create art.
Right.
So things like that.
Superb. Training my guns on the two of you. So you two have worked very closely together for
Many years.
Many years and a lot of projects. So, and pardon me if you find this offensive, but I can see a similar kind of
Photography.
vibe or DNA or whatever you can call it in both of your work. So I'd like to know who has influenced whom.
Do you want to answer that?
It's a very straight answer. He has influenced me.
Okay.
And also, I used to look at a lot of journalistic work. I had done Airtel, which has this
Right.
very black and white journalistic. So I got attracted towards that style from beginning.
Right.
When I was in college. I did Hamara many years ago as a visualizer to come up with ideas and situations, and then you need to get somebody to execute.
Right.
So, slice of life, looking at life was like a hobby from that day onwards. You see all my campaigns are based similarly in the similar genre of work. And choosing photographer was easy then, because if I want a journalistic style, I used to go to either one of the great journalists, and if it is a fashion, then I know who's the best in fashion, then we go to Prabhudo, or, if you're doing some beauty, then we'll go. So we used to kind of work whoever is the best and learn from them, and then go from there. So we are looking at slice of life kind of imagery, and I found him. He came to me and showed his work, and we are doing some calendar, and I said, "You're the guy who's going to shoot it," and that's it.
Right.
And what I knew from the beginning as an artist, since I'm from college, somebody gives you a brief, then my boss used to give me complete freedom to execute whatever you want to do. We used to work frame by frame, think everything through, do entire homework, go to the places 20 times if necessary, see the correct light, and then go and shoot. And the shooting was 5-minute process, but the thinking and working together and coming up with ideas was very interesting. So, I mean, that freedom I used to give to all my photographers, whether, Prasad, ask him. And so once you have what is set out to do, and advertising, you are doing it for a purpose. You are not doing it as an artist.
Right.
At the end of the day, you are trying to sell something or you are communicating something. And that's what is most important thing. And then give the freedom to the person, how he wants to compose, whether he wants to do black and white color, whether he wants to do with simple camera. I mean, he came and said, I will shoot at 3600 ISO. I said, what is that? Because I didn't know anything about photography, right? So, but I said, okay, go ahead if you think that is what we need to do. So, I mean, it's all about giving the freedom and then taking that freedom and taking it to a different level. And that's what Swapan did. I mean, same thing with Mr. Raghu Rai has done with Times of India campaign I did many years ago. I mean, I just roam around with him for 20 days. And he used to take whenever he feels like a advertising picture, otherwise he was doing his own thing. So the thing is, it's the back of the mind, they knew exactly what is required, what is expected, and that delivering it perfectly and beyond is what I think I enjoyed working with him most.
Okay, fantastic.
So maybe to add to that.
Please, yes.
Okay, you made a parallel there. So most of the work you saw, all my work that you saw was in early 2000s.
Yes, yes.
So chronologically, that answers your question. The rest is for you to it's your, how you want to decipher it. But yeah, I mean, Prashant was very gracious, one of the early people. I mean, there's just one correction. He said, I came up with work. You saw my child marriage campaign in Time magazine. So I don't remember ever going to anybody for work. So he saw it and he just, and let me put it this way. So, I mean, a lot of basis for that is when you've trained to be a news photographer or a journalist, so there is a certain kind of body language you have and a certain kind of mindset. My picture is mine, right? And I will fight tooth and nail to save it from being cropped or anything written. That's the basis of journalism and documentary photography. Avani, correct me if I'm wrong, that you're so, the square footage of your image matters because it matters, Right. You're processing that film, you're making that print. So when Prashant first came to me, that by his own admission, I don't know if you recollect, he had seen the work somewhere. So he said, I expected a guy with a white beard and, to walk in, and not a guy all of 21 or 22 to walk in.
Right.
Lintas, was it? Yeah. So to walk in, and I thought somebody else had shot. And it was something I'd shot for my agents in New York, and it was it was a story on child marriage.
Right.
But that aesthetic, somehow he must have seen something, and he says, let's give it a try. And to his credit, he said, okay, why don't you try something in advertising? And that's when the first campaign happened, and we tried to do a slice of, and the rest, as they say, is, the word.
So speaking of which, you also have the reputation of getting involved in the process from very early on. Is it the same now, or, it's completely changed and, like, you used to have no crop, in your contract, right?
No contract.
Just so, and that's how the legend goes.
It was clear contracts would be suing a lot of people.
So no crop, I've heard, Mr. Farooq Chotia, so all these people had that.
Prabhudo,
yes. No crop contract, and here
he didn't have a problem with the headline, but he had a problem with the crop.
No, sorry, now I tell my clients, like, if you want a tighter picture, you have to
tell me.
Please don't crop the picture which is already there, like it's been shot in a certain
and
way.
apply a filter for good measure.
Oh my God. Let's not even go there.
No, what I'm saying is, has, the
process of
the system or the process or the industry changed where, you are not in a position to dictate these kind of, terms and...
Well, earlier it was like
possible,
that, the way, I've been shooting for 34 years. So
don't you think the practitioners are marginally to blame for this? Because even at that time, it was so difficult.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we were like literally one or two of us who were doing that at that time. But you can only do that if you prove yourself with the work.
Absolutely.
कि ये ऐसे बोलने के लिए नहीं बोल रहा है.
Yeah, yeah,
It will be
100%,
stupid on the agencies will be stupid for us to crop his picture.
Yeah.
Because you know we
100%.
now get what he's saying. But it was even tough then to do
Oh,
that. You know, and I was always
100%.
called the equivalent
100%.
of a bitch in the gender. This because कि अरे यार ये तो इसको देंगे तो ये ऐसा हो
No,
जाएगा.
you
But
were
ठीक
famous
है.
for all those things.
I just ask people who have worked with me, did
Yeah.
you ever feel that? Because see, if a wall is created by servicing people and all,
Yeah.
I mean, I would say it's their loss, यार. हमने तो ऐसा कुछ किया नहीं, किसी के साथ कुछ झगड़ा नहीं किया, कुछ नहीं. But it's just
The idea was to be
कि ये
honest
अलग
to
है,
your
ये
work.
difficult है और ये क्यों difficult है? Because अरे यार इसको बोलेंगे तो ये. But then guys like him took care of us. You know, कि okay, we'll be the people on the soldiers at the battlefront.
Yeah.
तू तेरा काम कर.
Yeah.
So there'll be no client around, there will not be any monitor, or there will not be any you just so हम लोग क्या वो 4 roll film pocket में डाल के shoot करते, 3 lens waist pouch में और कभी-कभी एक.
But I think it's very subjective because, firstly, like I've done something I'm so proud of, and my dad saw it, and I said, "Papa, it's getting a great response," and he laughed and he said, "You must have gotten lucky, baby, because they suck." Okay, but the truth is, it's my truth, right? Some of my favorite work of my own work, lots of work I don't like of myself, but some work is because I found amazing collaborators that brought in something new, and that's why we work with creatives, and that's why we don't work with people sitting behind a machine, right? And I feel like because now we have to engage with so much more, with so many more people, it's nice to incorporate all and have a bit of everything, because you're advertising for somebody else. It's not your brand. You're sometimes telling someone else's story. You're not telling your own. The thing about the iconic image, right, that we speak about in the first 50 years of maybe till 2010 or 2005, whenever digital came in, they spoke about one image. They didn't speak about a photo essay and some write-up with it. They spoke about one image, and they spoke about how that one image would tell everything. And you did not need someone to talk about it. You did not need 5 other images to
Support it.
Support it, yeah.
Right? And now to a certain degree, it has been diluted because now we're not just making imagery. We're catering to advertising, we're catering to storytelling, we're catering to someone else's storytelling, we're catering to social media. So it's all a mix of things. And that's why the iconic image has become a photo essay, has become a film, has become a write-up.
So it's because of the medium also.
Yeah.
Medium has changed.
It's changed.
And also the formats, like
Yeah.
it can be like just for a pillar or for a bus stand, or
Yeah.
for so the mediums and formats are just so crazy.
Right.
I mean, there are no camera built for those kind of there are no lenses like that.
And also
Because
I
the
think,
media has increased, sorry.
Yeah.
Because the media space has increased.
Space has
Yeah.
increased, yes.
I mean, it's no longer press TV and
Yes, that's
holding.
what. We have
It's
to- yeah.
basically, I mean, people don't even turn the
phones.
sideways because they are too lazy. So that's why you have to shoot vertical. So today, if somebody is doing any assignments, they want vertical shots, they want horizontal shots, they want 1:3-4 proportion, because that's how the hoarding will be. So composing it correct to that point, unless you put your foot down and say, I'm not going to do anything, I'm only going to do one way. And if you like to do it, you do it, otherwise you forget it. I mean, that's the stand you have to take to retain your integrity, what Swapan was saying. Otherwise, it's impossible, because if you are going to crop my picture vertically, there it goes. I mean, there's nothing left.
Yeah, because life is horizontal.
Right.
The moment you make it vertical, you're removing context of everything.
Absolutely, yeah.
Also, there was a sheer joy of watching a hoarding for 6 months. Like his picture is there for 6 months, and every day you're driving, and every day you used to enjoy.
tangibility of
Now,
the
now you're just flipping the pictures like
Yeah.
like
And
in
chota
seconds.
chota.
Yeah, and next day it's gone.
So
Next 3 seconds.
at 3 seconds, and then it will lose its like it's discounted now.
No, so for this size, the composition and the way you do is different.
Yeah.
Because you can't have multi-layered image in the small screen.
this
You will
screen,
not
right.
see
Yeah,
it. So you have to make simpler so that people will like it. I mean, it's all
it's a square.
in advertising, because I'm the other side also, because
Yes,
there's a
of course.
constant demand to do a simpler communication. Don't do layered communication, because you have only 1 second.
Yeah, like earlier you used to have brands coming up with 2 campaigns, 3 campaigns a year.
Yeah.
But now they have 3 campaigns in 2 months.
2 months. 2 months.
So I feel the effort that's gone in to visualizing or conceptualizing the campaign has drastically reduced in quality because they have to churn out so much of work. So whether it be the art director or creative director or the photographer, instead of sitting and working on one campaign for let's say a month or so, coming up with ideas, they need to do that in 2 days and churn out work. So that becomes fast and hasty these days. So I think that's another reason where the pictures really have not much of a value as much as how it used to.
Yeah, actually, that's a constant refrain that we've been hearing here on these roundtables, is that companies are no longer focusing on building a brand so to speak.
Yeah.
It's just a campaign.
Yeah.
It's just a quarter-on-quarter result.
Yeah, so it becomes
which you've taken.
shallower and shallower.
Yeah, and the quicker turnaround, and it has to be put out of the way until the next one, which is like next week.
I just feel that as long-term practitioners, and I want to ask people like Red or you or whoever long-term practitioners, somebody has to start fluttering that flag again.
Yeah.
Because I think people want to see that again. Why is everything designed around retro now? There has to be a reason. I think people are tired. Yeah, tuck, that's happening.
It's an interesting
It's
conversation.
people
I
are
understand
people are
someone.
tired. Even cameras are being designed retro. What is the need? You're already tired. In a decade, you're tired. So people want probably to slow down and start seeing that meaningful engagement. And I'm not talking when there's a purpose for the engagement. Like on social media, you have to sell something. I can understand, but I'm saying here are practitioners of the medium, visual artists per se, if I may take the liberty to use that. Somewhere, do you think we owe it back to the medium in some way?
100%.
That, hey, somebody, we need to pick that flag which is like, being trampled upon. And because now we probably are in a better, there's food on the table to be doing those things.
Absolutely.
And I can totally identify with people who are still struggling to make ends
Photo
meet.
books, Swapan.
Photo
That's-
books.
that's a huge answer.
Yeah,
from
exactly.
photos.
Because tum chale gaye, these are like epitaphs which we are going to leave behind once we are no more. Koi
Editorials are
kharidne nahi wala hai photo books.
editorials are finished.
Why do you say that?
You cannot, magazines today, there are very few who are still sort of the indies that I shoot for some of them. Avani Rai shot for Dirty here in India a couple of times, right? And India doesn't exist, let's face it.
They all struggle.
Yeah, that's true.
They all struggle.
Yeah.
I understand they have to survive and all that, but there's just, whatever it is, it's finished. For me, what is my take home as an artist from an editorial is the fact that I want to have integrity in the image because it said it's shot by Rid
And you're
Burman.
doing that so beautifully. Look at Rid, man, his new work.
So when it says it's shot, a commercial image is okay, fine. It doesn't say it's shot by Rid Burman. Editorial, when you're printing that, shot by Rid Burman, I am sorry, there is no democracy. You touch my picture, I am going to come after you with everything I got. Right? Well, of course, I'm saying it. I would never shoot for that magazine again.
Oops, I lost many clients.
No, it's fine. Editorial, I don't care.
No, you shouldn't care a shit. Yeah, of course.
And there is no democracy. I'm sorry. It's stupid. Photo books are my answer to this question, where you actually want to raise a flag and say, hey, look.
Yeah.
Look what a beautiful...
You're never going to get money from photo
No.
books. You
I've
have to
done two of them.
self-finance them.
I'm still paying the bills for it.
Yeah.
We used to shoot fashion editorials and everything just because of that only, so that we
was
can
the
do some
reason.
personal
Yeah.
work,
Main reason, actually.
personal work, which we cannot explore otherwise in commercial space.
So that has translated into photos. So now, in fact, there are huge book fairs, off-print projects, and this and that, and that is a beautiful way that I am finding to express work that, sorry. I was shooting we were shooting just now in Bangkok, and we were shooting a celebrity who showed up like 3 hours late. So I went off in the morning, took 5 rolls of film with my little camera, walked around Chinatown from 7 to 9, and I shot a series of 30 pictures out of which 5 I think I absolutely love, right? So, and then these I'm going to put in. So and then suddenly I was shooting a job in Rajasthan. I wandered off after the recce for a few hours, and I shot 15 pictures, out of which 3 that I absolutely love. Now, some tree fallen, whatever, just conversations, small moments, and things that are talking to you, a group of paper gathering dust, but there's so much history. Somebody has put a lot of love into putting all those things together. A horse with a beautiful thing hanging from the head, right? And these moments, put them all together, because these are moments that are beautiful, and then you're just sort of reacting to them, and you're feeling them. You're feeling these are gifts for us. You know, what's beautiful about photography is these are moments that are gifts that you receive and you document, and then you put this all together. All your voices that were talking to you, you put them into a memoir. That's your photo book.
So it's these are not harsh statements, but these are realities. When you start practicing, you realize
Learn,
even your own work. You see something shot 30 years back, you loved it then. It won all the awards, and now you're like, yaar, ulti aati hai kaam dekhta hu to. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I don't want to
guess
do that. It's too perfect, so beautiful.
Typical fashion work is sort of like that, because I used to love what Steven Meisel used to shoot maybe in the 90s, for instance. And now I look at that work and I say, or like Patrick Demarchelier or whatever. I was like, okay, man, that's a bit cheesy and a bit fabricated, and this doesn't have that kind of same appeal that used to appeal to me in the 90s.
You know, the thing about creating your language, I feel, because, you know, like Rid saying that he went to shoot a fashion or in Bangkok, and he went and shot daily life, right? So my practice, for me, I'm not a kind of photographer. Because I like fashion, I enjoy fashion because I can recreate what has already been done. I enjoy documentary. I enjoy, if something matters to me, I'll get in there and shoot conflict. I will also go and shoot wildlife. So, but for me, if I feel like a person can see my image and constantly say, oh, Avani took this photo, I don't like that so much. Because I see things differently and new things keep coming to me. So, for me to be imprisoned by my own frame, at this point in my life, I'm like, I want to keep creating languages. I want to keep recreating how people, even when I shoot for a brand, I want to rebrand to a certain degree. Not, of course, not going against them, but to create something new, like to keep pushing, right? So language, like, I don't like the idea of, ye iski photograph hai, yeah,
but isn't that a nice thing? Isn't that a nice thing?
No, I don't find
it doesn't matter which genre you're shooting. Let's say one day you're shooting whatever, wildlife, then you shoot beauty or you shoot something else. But you can have your language. Let's say you only shoot in a 35mm lens or something. You can use that to shoot all of this and create a language for yourself.
I find it limiting. So for me, it's limiting.
But then it's a good thing when people look at a wildlife picture or
But
a beauty
am I
picture
more
or a fashion
important
and say this
than
has been
the
shot
photo?
by you. Isn't that a good thing to
Not for me.
to have a style
So, I mean,
even through across other genres?
I think to put
that.
across
Exactly.
what
Yeah.
you're saying, so if an agency were to, let's say, hire you as a photographer, and suppose your work, you've succeeded in, you know, totally sanitizing your work of all visual signature in that sense.
See, I can't even do that completely because it's the first thing that comes to you when you shoot. So that is going against, that is literally me trying to push my own self. When I see an image, I've seen the image, I know I'm going to take it. It's the memory of what I've taken before and the idea of what I feel. Every good image that I've seen of all their works and all the stuff that I've seen, I don't want to take it again. That's the thing. So I'm saying I can't completely remove language, but I can tweak it. I can keep pushing it. And with you were talking about lensing, I feel...
No, that was just,
As
it
an
could be
example.
light, it could be anything.
But I feel like, maybe because I'm the youngest here, I feel like language for me is limiting at this point in my life.
I totally agree with whatever you said also. So even my work, I think every 3 years or 4 years, it kind of shifts based on what's happening currently, you know, because otherwise you're going to be left out. So what I shot 4 years ago may not be the same now, but it kind of has a certain, or how do I say, like a certain consistency to it. Over the next 4 years, I would have the same language and not try and change something. And then maybe just like Instagram, maybe if something else comes and it demands us to do something a little more different, then I would change slowly to that.
AI. All of us are individuals, right? And all of us have our experiences that we've collected. You know, the food we've eaten, the movies we've watched, the people we've dated, the people we're married to, our families, and all those experiences that we've collected as photographers, it comes out through that. When you see,
100%.
right?
True.
So
Very
your
true.
Yeah, but then language is different, right? That is what your experience. So when you're saying in 3 years from now, your language changes. Like when there is some sort of a movement in something
You
that's
might
going
shoot
on,
with
right?
a different lens. You might
Because-
like different light.
I
You
think
might like.
we don't take ourselves seriously. That's the best thing. If you take
You
yourself
might-
seriously, you'll just
Yes.
Yeah,
Please
but
come
when
to
I
bed.
take
Yeah,
a picture,
yeah.
when I take a picture, I have my father's name, I have Rid's name, I have Sir's name, I have Sir's name. Everyone is popping because what's happening is I'm seeing, oh, he took that good image, I can take that good image. Or he took that good image, I can take that image. Then I'm like, what am I taking?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah. So,
Avani, I went through the same
okay.
thing.
So that's
I went through the same thing with your father and my father. I had double legacies around me, and your father. And the first thing he told me, long lens chhod do. Advertising is a bad name. Everything, and opposite of that happened. So I get very scared even now when I'm so mad. But somewhere they also changed.
Yes,
he also
absolutely.
started accepting my advertising work after ये वो image देखी कुछ था उसमें. This is after 15 years of completely saying advertising is a bad word.
No,
So-
he's always done advertising. He doesn't like the approach of advertising.
Later, I'm telling you, because I've been
You know him
40
for longer than I do.
Exactly.
So.
40 years I've been in that dark room with him, and there are lots of things, but I'm not in any way negating what you're saying. 100% true. I'm just kind of putting a lens to the past where even the great legends also somewhere changed.
No, also what she said just now, that when you are sitting and taking a picture, and then while you're framing it, you say like, okay, somebody has done this, and this one has done a picture like that, So
Sabke
what am
saath
I
ye
doing?
hua.
If you are able to do that before clicking the picture, that okay, how do I put my mark on that? What am I adding
That's
in this
amazing.
picture?
You're on the right path.
If you can question, you are 100% on the right path. 100%.
I would only
because-
add that don't do it at the point of shooting. If you do it at the point of shooting, what will happen?
No, but there's no other way to do it.
No, you will.
You can
you
only
will-
do it when you see it.
You will lose your integrity. All of us have to go, whether we like it or not,
No.
go through that process.
I-
Especially if we've had
I
legends
don't
in our
think
life.
that again.
You'll have to go through
It's
the process.
not philosophical. It's actually visual. It's not philosophical. When
Well,
you
it
say,
just pops up.
Yeah.
While
it's
you're
there,
shooting, it
it's
just-
there.
it just
never
pops up.
stops.
Exactly.
Never stops. When I'm shooting today. When I pick up this is a Swapan Parekh picture. I stop shooting it. I'm telling you, you have
So
to.
you're also
You
kind
have.
of-
Yes, you have to. That's a
Yeah.
process which will never stop.
But I'm saying that happens only when you see a frame. I can see a frame and I can see Sir in it and I can see Rid in it and I can see you in it. And then I'm like, where am I in it, man? So that is only when I'm actually dealing with something in that space. It can't be a thought at home. That's what I'm saying.
Also in advertising, we are shown every time we are presented by other people's images also as reference.
Exactly.
That's the biggest.
Or I saw those pictures. So many references I put
I
on
had a-
yours.
I had a-
everyone's.
Tarun, the tragedy is you're saying when you're getting a campaign, people are showing references and they said this.
आप लोग draw करते थे
नहीं,
उस time पे
problem ये होता था कि there were certain art directors who came to me with references कि sir, this is what we are looking at, and I'm saying the reference ये भाई साहब ये reference मैंने shoot किया.
हाँ,
So you're bringing my
It
campaign
happens with
without
me
knowing
quite a lot.
that I have shot this.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
saying, so it's something where
So when you're there for 40 years or
Happened to
30
me.
years or whatever, this happens to you,
So
Much
every
happier
time,
than them.
every single campaign, this is what happens. And then I really feel, at least my line of work is beauty and fashion. So I feel the pictures are already made even before the shoot. Like you conceptualize it, you put a good team together, makeup artist, hairstylist, clothes. You already visualize the whole idea and the picture in your head, including the lighting and your lensing and everything. Put it together, put a good team together, and then you create. But now what happens is they come up with references.
Yeah.
Mostly it be references from your own work
Yeah.
or others in the
Yeah.
industry. Asking one photographer to shoot the other photographer's
Yeah,
work.
yeah.
It could be it's the
This
same thing,
also
or
is-
something from Pinterest,
Yeah, oh
or
my God,
some other photographer from abroad shoot his work. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way.
No, but
And-
it's
and you-
working like that only now.
Only like that.
This
Yeah.
whole
Because,
best of
see,
three
I'll-
quotes nonsense that's
I
happening
mean, that's
now.
a whole different.
Yeah.
And the thing is, they don't involve the photographer beforehand
Yeah,
and
yeah.
let him do the job. Although
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
getting
But
paid
जिसका
for it. But
reference दे रहे हैं उसी को क्यों नहीं ले लेते?
शायद budget में नहीं है
budget.
ना.
Budgets are
Budget
very-
नहीं
या
है,
नहीं
foreigner
कहती
है,
Very
कुछ भी
few
हो
creative directors, I think only one or two now who are
It's not
following
about
that.
creative directors are very good. I'm telling you, there are still fantastic creative
Yeah,
directors.
they're
in
not being
agency.
empowered enough.
It's just that
Yeah, they are
they're
not
not
being
backed up
empowered.
with the budget,
Yes.
that kind of budget.
Yeah.
You know,
Budget
you
and
know,
the
you've
power
shot
also,
something in Santorini, but now you let's shoot it in
Alibaba.
studio,
Yeah.
in studio, and then we'll put Santorini.
So,
there.
I think
no,
20 minutes,
No, but
25
when you
minutes.
do have
fuck.
references, like so hard references that they want to stick to, you can only make 90% of the time, you
Yeah.
can only make a bad version of a good reference. You can never, most often, not be able, because they don't give you the freedom also. So you're given a reference and then you're told to imitate something which might be, it most often is not as good, right? Because that's why it's a reference. So that happens a lot as well. You know, I have pushed so many outtakes in my life saying, guys, why are we not taking these?
They don't have
that now
you
is
won't
a
have the same models, you
eternal
won't have the same
debate with
clothes, you won't have the
Right,
same environment, you won't have the same. How do you do the reference?
And
you
I
say-
believe now they
find
are
something more
pushing
relevant?
references generated by AI. aren't
Oh
they?
yeah.
Oh,
And
yes.
I've
Yeah.
seen
Yeah.
so many campaigns.
I was wondering when that question is going to
Yeah, no, it just left
No,
the
no,
door
it's
open
happened.
for that.
But just to add to a funny story, so we were shooting this campaign and they wanted to shoot with one of the supermodels from Poland and whatever. So they had this beautiful reference and it was very weird kind of pose, okay, of a model. And when we reached, and we were shooting with luckily the same girl, which was in the reference. So we reached the studio and we were just showing her because everybody was so excited about that whole shot. And she was like, but my hand is from some other image and my leg is from some I was like, guys, hear the story. You know what I mean? So,
How do you-
Yeah. So that's not a reference and it's not possible.
But references in
You
general
will be.
depends on the CD that you work with. Most of the times, especially on Zoom calls, I get mood boards from art directors. Brooklyn studio, light shining in. Where am I shooting? Mehboob studio. Studio number 5. No light.
On a
I took
white
my own-
background.
On a white background.
create everything.
So
No,
it's
but
like-
you know what I
just-
feel the bigger picture is if you see in terms of like a lot of people are in India, they're not recognizing photography as an art.
Yes.
You know,
Not
that is the
anymore.
biggest
That-
problem
that's
I feel.
fundamentally
You know, like
huge
I had
problem.
these arguments with so many people saying, you know, if you see that canvas on the wall,
Yeah.
will you ever cut that into half? Because to start answer to your question, you know, the cropping the image. I was like, they're saying, no, we're not going to cut that painting into half because that's a complete painting.
yeah.
So there's no seriousness about photography. That's
Yeah,
what I
it's-
feel
it's
as an
gone
art.
away.
And that's very important. That should be, I think, people should be more aware about that. And it's not there across India about
Yeah,
this.
if
That
you-
seriousness is not there.
If
No,
you
at least
Yes.
in a marketing department,
Yeah.
because they think, you know, we are paying
Yeah.
for it, I'll
Yeah.
just use it the
Yeah.
way I want.
That's
So
why
all.
nowadays they started calling us vendors. Can
yeah,
you believe
that's
that?
the best of three
You know,
worlds.
now is the worst. Now every second job they call us vendors, and that is very sad. I feel.
Tough for
Yeah, I
us.
think each photographer keeps contributing to his personal work or what he loves. I think collectively as a whole, over months and years, I think the advertising industry will also start appreciating something like that, and the cycle could probably continue.
Yeah, it's sorry, I'm interjecting, but it's changing, by the way. Huh? It's
Yeah, I can see that it's changing.
changing.
Just- just like how you said,
you see
photo
some
books
seriousness
and-
about images. That's happening. I think
Couple of
some
briefs.
few places,
Yeah.
but you can see that hope. I think
Maybe guys like you
Yeah.
are pushing for that. That's what I'm trying to say. Maybe y'all are pushing for that.
It's got.
That's
I
why
mean,
it's happening.
India is going to take a bit of time, but
Yes.
it
Yeah.
It will catch up. Yes, of course.
Look,
And have
but
the
your real
but-
language is made in your personal work. What you bring to an advertising table is a mix of
somebody
things.
else's idea,
What you're
actually.
actually, what you're making is actually the time. My time is spent mostly shooting right now in my village, where I come from, in Punjab. So actually, my language. I was shooting Kashmir for 5 years in my 20s. That's where I figured something out, and then I came here and I did my thing. But language is built and your eye is made in that personal space that Bharat is using, that you are using those 2 hours in the morning before you go into shoot.
Yeah, that you know.
Yeah, you're
then
hungry.
meditating sort of.
No, but
Yeah, it's
even
like
in
a
your
meditation.
shoot, even in your commercial work, even in your shoot, you are doing it that
Some,
way.
yeah,
How
some,
has it happened? It's happened after years of believing.
Yeah.
कि ये-
You
मैं-
gotta.
it's a-
there will be a lot of external.
It's a lonely battle, yeah.
Yeah, it's a very, and it's also a huge uphill climb.
Yeah.
I'm sure Tarun, in fact, I learned it from you guys in a way that there is a lot of external noise in a commercial environment, right? There is a lot. There's an art director, there's a client servicing, blah, blah, blah. They're always constantly coming and telling you, Acha, nahi, ye aise ho sakta. Can you do it like this? Can you do it like that? And it's completely understandable. There's a celebrity in more cases who wants to look a certain way. There's a certain parameter that you're working with. And somehow you just collect all of it find you, and then find a way to enjoy that process.
Very well.
Yeah.
And just shoot. You know, I mean, the images are popping up, 15 people are seeing it. It's no longer my image, it's our image. Then. I can't call it my image anymore. Because it's not mine.
True.
If it's my image, then it's a roll of film and I'm only shooting what I'm
And
seeing.
no one
Nobody
gets
is
to
seeing it.
see,
I'm going to the
yeah.
darkroom printing exactly what's up. I'm doing the same thing. I'm doing it with one client right now. Here's the print.
I think now, over the last at least couple of years after COVID, brands have started working directly with photographers and filmmakers, where we can actually, you know, put forth our ideas and the way how we look at the campaign or the pictures, put together the team and execute. So in that way, at least for me in my work, I have found something good there, you know, where my vision can come through without too much of external noise. It doesn't have to be agencies or anything. There are really good agencies.
Maybe they're coming because of your sensibility, what they like about your style of work, or you know.
I feel it's also an elimination of the middleman. Today there's accessibility for just about everybody. I get calls like very often off late that I'm seeding a project, not just photographing it. They want me to create a visual language, a brand language,
Yes,
etc.
that started happening.
What was the word you used?
CD.
What CD?
When you
creative
come up with
director.
ideas.
Creative director, like you know, that
director.
they are
Okay.
asking you to visualize the camera.
Yeah, they essentially are they just want to create now, because again, it's right now it's the markets that we are in. It's
Yeah.
not about positive or negative. It is what it is.
Yeah,
It's the
it
reality.
is what it is.
But like he said, there are positives coming out of it as well. Like a lot of brands are now paying me extra just to CD the creative direct the project.
Nice.
So that's also fun.
But international magazines and clients put your work in your mood board. Indians do other work, other photographers in your
That
mood
is
board.
true. That is true.
Every time you get an international brief,
Yeah.
it's very
Yeah.
different.
Always
That's true.
yours.
The
That's
brief
true.
that comes, it's actually tailored to the work that you do in your style.
Yeah, and they
Always.
pick up your most personal. For
Yeah.
some reason, they can tell.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Indians I will have one of Rids, one of Sirs, one of Rohans, one of Arjun's, one of Prasad. That's how it'll be.
So, yeah.
But the funniest is when you get your own images back as well. That's the
But there's a lot more seriousness
ये
there.
देखो ये कैसे shoot करता है.
About
yeah,
the
yeah.
thing. That's
See,
what I'm saying. The
abroad,
seriousness is the
Coming
question.
back to the
yeah.
point that you were making, nobody understands photography as a serious art form in India.
Yes.
Very few people.
Yeah.
You go to
Yeah.
any gallery. I've had this
Yeah.
issue. I approached a few galleries with my personal work, and they say we don't even have a collector base for photography. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
True.
Right? And whereas abroad in Paris, there are 100 galleries
Yes.
ready to accept
Yeah.
the work and
Yeah.
exhibit. There's Paris Photo, massive exhibition, or like an art fair, which is a photography fair, where it's all, you know, ICP. I mean, look at the
Yes.
seriousness of the
Exactly.
work.
Yeah.
It's
what I'm
treated as a
saying.
very serious
Yes.
fine art discipline. So
Yeah.
it also, a lot of it stems from there. In fact, print is coming back in a big way
Yes.
in like Cannes.
Everywhere.
Abroad, yes.
Yeah.
NBA that won it, and then there's a Coca-Cola campaign that won a huge thing at Cannes
right.
this year. It's coming back. It's there because people are realizing, you know, it's so crowded that 1 second or whatever it is, which brand is being built and where is the language? Everybody looks the same.
Yeah.
What you're saying, like today when I'm looking at you guys, I'm sorry, and this is, I want to be like you guys. Seriously, we have put so much of baggage in our head. I'll say I. You know, I can't speak for the other people. That sometimes it's like, how longer will you carry that baggage? Drop that bag. So many do's and don'ts in our head because we practice the medium in a certain way.
Yeah.
He's rid himself. मैं भाग गया, like, you know, did that, and one fine day, and of course creative directors become photographers, so और भी काम so it just stopped one day, and I
Got greedy.
didn't address the issue, and then you realize that निकल गई now, you know. So either you want to catch up and get on the boat on the next port, or you said, you know, really maybe it was for the good, and I'm now really shooting images which are just happy no reason at all images. But when I look at you guys, I want to be this. So many of people who have worked with me, I've only had one assistant in my whole life, that too much later. And when Prashant was kind enough sometimes to hold my reflector, but otherwise, I keep telling, tum log shoot karna, let me come and watch. Nobody allows me.
Why?
I don't know. कि पता नहीं क्या हो, जैसे कोई पहाड़ आ गया हो. So these are also things that I'm admitting. It doesn't matter. This.
Rohan, next shoot, you're calling him.
Yeah.
Arya, I would love to hang because you'll see me shooting on the side. Something idhar udhar चालू रहेगा, because I I love to lurk in the periphery.
And suddenly client is saying, "Oh, Rohan, tu apni picture show. Let's use these ones." Backstage. That's more fashionable.
One thing that I wanted to ask you guys that when we did one of our previous roundtables with the cinematographers, there seems to be a very, tightly knit community amongst them. And a lot of them were members of ISC, and they were like as thick as an overexposed negative. So is there any community that do you guys call each other? Do you exchange notes? Do you ask each other questions?